As you probably see, I posted a video not too long ago about beekeeping, something that I've only really started getting into this year. We're actually here next to the hive today, and you can see there's a couple of bees flying around, and I'm kitted out in the suit, but I've taken some notes over the last month of basically means setup. I don't want to do too quick of a video because I do want to go into some detail with you guys about this, but I think still well worth the watch if you guys want to stick around and learn something new. It greatly helps the channel, greatly helps me, and one day I'd love to look at giving this honey away, just as giving back to the community. So if you guys are interested, would love the support. But to start off this video, I thought I might go through some notes of beekeeping itself, just so you guys actually can understand bees just a little bit more, because it's something that you see every now and again on Discovery Channel, or it's something that you'll see on YouTube or a couple of videos when you're flicking through Instagram and whatnot. And those are all great, but I feel like there is something far more valuable to be taken away from bees that we don't really know much about, or genetically how it came to be that this is the purpose of a bee's life. So I started on the 23rd of Jan of having a nucleus dropped off, which was 4 frames of brood developing with a queen. I am reading this out of my notebook because otherwise I won't remember the dates exactly. And in terms of pricing, the pricing for buying a nucleus varies from beekeeper to beekeeper. It depends on genetics. It depends where the bees come from. It depends, honestly, how it's been bred. Sometimes you can buy a cheap nucleus. It's a fresh queen. She's 1 season in. Or you buy an old nucleus, and also it'll be a cheap bee because she hasn't got much life left. And, depending on the breeder of the nucleus or where they're found from, they can be kind of grown in years to become more adapted to certain environments, more accommodated to people, and less likely to swarm and sting. So I found a local beekeeper as well. Not only a local beekeeper, but a honey producer themselves. And I paid $440 for a nucleus to be dropped off, which is expensive in the terms of the initial cost of setting up a hive. The nucleus cost more than the hive. The bees in this hive, when they started off on 4 frames, they were more expensive than the actual hive itself. The hive was only $380, but it's not a traditional flow hive. It's a bit of a knockoff. They're the same shape. They should do the same thing. They're all 3D printed materials most days, apart from the actual structure of it. It's usually made out of a wood, which this one is here. And what I want to do is I want to take you through the process of how these hives actually work. So to answer some questions and to go through it, the hive was $380. The bees were $440. So we're nearly up at $800, just over, of expense in just the bees side of it. Apart from that, you need tools. A J-Hive tool. They're really good. It's good for lifting frames. It's good for wedging. It's good for cutting a bit of honey. There's actually a bit of honey on the end of that, which I'm surprised the bees haven't gone for yet, but they will. J-Hive tool, very important. Get one before you get into beekeeping. Gloves, I've got those over here, just in case. Again, I like to wear them just to give me that added protection, but they kind of do get in the way. The bee suit, that's probably your most expensive outfit to get for this operation. Relative to that, it's not a bad outfit. It's comfortable. I'm not wearing a shirt under this, otherwise I'll be sweating from my head to my toes, and I kind of don't want that because I like the fact that this is breathable. You need to get a smoker. Not always required. I did this for a month before I bought a smoker, or nearly a month before I bought a smoker. It was 3 weeks. I bought this last week. So this definitely helps with opening the hive and then lifting frames to check them. It just lets the bees know you're coming in. They're less likely to swarm, they're less likely to react, and you will get a more relaxed beehive to work with. So aside from the smoker, I got a queen catcher, and that's just in case I need to find the queen, locate her, pull her out the hive, inspect her. She is marked in there, so she's marked with the color of how fresh she is. So she was a queen only born last season, so she's got 5 years of laying to do. And she lays approximately 2,000 eggs a day in this hive. She lays 1 egg per cell, so with 10 frames. Haven't worked out the estimate on cells per frames yet, but I would say that's probably a frame a day. up to 2,000 cells. So not crazy, but enough. Um, those cells are fertilized to become a worker bee. Now, when a female bee or a queen mates to produce bees, she creates two larvae, a male larvae and a female larvae. Now, it's kind of an interesting concept here because it's something I struggle to understand getting into this. But a fertilized egg will become a worker bee, and those are usually female bees. Those female bees are born but unfertilized. Um, the males are an unfertilized egg that she lays. Now, when she mates, she stores the call it the semen on her to fertilize those eggs when needed if she needs worker bees or a male bee. Which is kind of interesting because she stores that on her for up to 4 years or 5 years before she gets close to dying, where she needs to produce another queen bee. Now, only female worker bees can become a queen if the hive needs one, but there can only ever be one queen bee in the hive. Now, what stipulates the worker bee to the queen bee is the feeding process of what the bees are fed whilst they are larvae. Now, male unfertilized eggs, larvae that hatch, become, I think, defense bees and your male attack bees, and also part of gathering bees. They all have different roles, and why they call it a colony is because it works exactly like that. They all have a role to fulfill, and they all have to fulfill that role to be a productive bee in the hive. So, getting back to birthing a queen bee and just a normal worker bee, both from fertilized larvae, is royal jelly, which is a thick, milky white secretion that is produced by two glands in female worker bees. So, the female worker bees produce out of two glands on their body, royal jelly. It's like sugar, and it's got certain proteins in it. I think there's 5 different proteins: MGR, RP, something S, and those proteins during the birth of a queen bee, or during the process of turning a fertilized egg into a queen bee, they have to be fed that royal jelly from larvae till the end of the cycle of larvae. But the difference between that is all worker bees, all female fertilized bees, are fed royal jelly for 3 days. For 3 days, they're all fed it. The difference is when they want a worker bee or a female worker bee, they stop feeding royal jelly on the 3rd day and start feeding those bees honey. And that honey is what the hive lives off. Now, in order to create a female during the genetic process of a female being born, is they have to feed royal jelly from the start of larvae to the end of the larvae when they go to cocoon it, and then that hatches as a female queen bee. Confusing, absolutely confusing. It had me stunned. I was trying to work it out. And obviously, with reproduction of the hive, or a new queen bee being created in the hive has to work out whether it's too full, whether it's too empty, and it has to work out whether or not it's requiring a new queen. Is the current queen too old to reproduce into a next season? And what they'll do is they'll lay a few queen cells. And those queen cells, one of them will hatch, and the queen that's in the hive will rehive and take some of the worker bees to start a new hive somewhere else, and a new queen will take over this hive. So the reproduction system of a colony of bees, or a nucleus, is very, very, very incredible. And a hive at full capacity, a 10-frame hive like this one, at full capacity, you can expect about 40,000 working bees, which is huge. That is amazing for a population of bees. So, without further ado, let's get into it. There's so much to learn. There's so much to go through. Definitely, if you're going to do it, get yourself a diary so that you can document things. This is my kind of diary that I document everything on. I'm going to put this away. I'm going to prepare to open up the hive. And just before I open the hive, there is something else to be mindful of. Bees rest at night. They're not active foragers when it's dark. So if you do this in the dark, before the sun's up, before the flowers are really flowering in the morning, during that first process in the morning, you're going to be dealing with a pretty full hive. Most of the bees will be inside the hive. So my suggestion to you is to not upset a full hive of bees, because opening the hive does unsettle them a little bit. Definitely open the hive during a little bit of like a late morning, early afternoon time. During lunchtime, some bees actually return back to the hive to deposit the pollen and the nectar that they've picked up, and they will be dealing with that in the hive. So it's quite a busy time around lunchtime, middle of the day, but mid-morning to early afternoon is the time to inspect and open the hive. So I think it is about, actually, it's funny, I forget, I'm recording on another phone here. So it is 10 o'clock in the morning right now. And what we're going to do is, I'm probably going to put this phone on silent so it doesn't disturb me while I get into the process of this. But what we're going to do is we're going to prep our smoker, which is this guy here. We've actually still got a bit of leaves and stuff in it. Just blast it out a bit. And I think I've got a lighter in this pocket as well. I do have a lighter in this pocket. So I'm just going to gather a couple of dry leaves and a bit of bark, and I'm going to get this going. And these are quite tricky to get going. They take some time to get smoking properly. So it's just a bellows with an inlet down the bottom, and you throw some of your material in there, and you don't want to fire, you just want it to smoke. So let me gather some material. Some local vegetation and dead material from around here is perfect. Okay, we're back. We've got our smoker going. I just used a bit of paper to start it down the bottom, and then a bit of bark and stuff to get it going. And now all you want to do with this is just get it near the hive entrance and the top of the hive. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So the top of the hive has got some holes in it. These holes just up here, and it allows airflow from the front of the hive into this part of the hive, as you can see it flowing from the other end. Now on the other side of the hive is the main entrance. That's this entrance down here. And what I'm going to do is just apply some smoke at the hive entrance to just calm the bees down a little. So that's all the amount of smoke I'm going to use. And now the next process is going to be opening up the hive, which I'm going to show you guys now. I'm just going to put my veil on, because we're getting to that point where we're about to go live into the hive, and we don't want to get any stings. Again, I honestly do not know if I'm allergic to these guys, so safety is like my #1 priority. As the crazy Russian always said, the crazy Russian hacker always said, safety is our #1 priority. And today, Sab's not avoiding safety. So, got our big gloves here. These aren't necessary like right away, but I'm going to use them. I've smoked the bees a little bit, so they're probably a bit more docile at the moment. I'm just going to give them a couple of minutes to start eating some honey and make their way from the top of the hive back onto the frames. And what I'm going to now do is go forward, give them another little dose on the front and the back. Just like that. I want to give this a little bit of airflow to keep it going. We're going to put it on the side because they do get warm. And we're going to open up the hive. So we take the lid, we pull the lid off the hive, just have a bit of a look, make sure everything's good in that. And now we start looking at our frames. Now there's a couple of frames involved in a hive. One of the first frames we've got on just this box, this is just the hive box. This isn't to collect honey, this isn't to collect honeycomb. This box here is the certain purpose and sole purpose of keeping the hive alive. The hive alive is this box, and that includes the worker bees, the queen, and honey storage to reproduce. So we don't want to take anything from this box. And what we have here, which is this first lid, this is a ventilation that stops other bugs from going on the top of the hive. It's one of the last thing that goes on above the lid. So it allows no bees to come out the top of it. I'll show you what the queen bee lid is in just a second. So we can put that one on the side. The bees will stick wax and stuff to these, so sometimes they're not the easiest to remove, but I'll just give them a bit more on the top here. Oh, I can hear them. They're not reacting too well to that. It's starting to fan a lot. And just give them a sec to calm down. Number one, if you ever hear them kick up, definitely take a step back, give them a chance, and we then take this frame, and we can take this frame off of there. So this frame here is the frame that allows worker bees to move through, but it does not allow the queen to pass through. So the queen stays in the box where the larvae are and where she can lay in the brood cells. So this is a very important piece to the hive. It's not just a box with frames you can put together. You need one of these if you want to be working with bees and beekeeping in a nice professional manner. This also controls your hive and the rate at which it grows. Because obviously if you add other things to this, this will prevent the queen from spreading into your honey boxes. So you won't end up with eggs up there. It'll just be pure honey storage. So you need one of these frames in your hive. Right. So the hive is open, and what we've got in there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 frames, and you can see it is loaded with bees. I'll actually grab this camera. Don't know how well you guys will be able to see this, but you can see the 10 frames there and all the bees in the hive. Now, all of these bees here right now are starting to target eating honey because I've smoked them out to just scare them a little bit. Sorry, I need to get a better tripod for this setup. And what we're going to do now is we're going to pull a frame. So the frames I want to pull are some external frames from the hive now. And these external frames are basically going to, I might just use some of this smoke again. Obviously I'm recording near the bees, so they're obviously not liking my voice and what's around them. But number one, don't be scared, just keep going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull an external frame on this hive, and pulling these external frames is to check the production of the comb on these external wax frames. So this external wax frame has a couple of bees on it. It looks like they're actually eating away at the wax. So that the bees are actually eating away on this wax frame and they're starting to build it, which means that the next frame in is probably starting to fill up with honeycomb. So these external frames is usually where they store their honey for their worker bees and their larvae. And this frame here is obviously still very empty. So we're not anywhere ready yet to put our super on. Because they need to start filling this excess storage for their larvae and their babies before they start filling up my storage that I want to harvest. Important to remember. So I'm just going to drop this frame back in there. You want to be very careful not to squish any bees or hurt any bees, because you will upset a few bees in the hive. Try not be too gentle, but at the same time try not be too rough with them. Eventually, you'll become very good at lowering the frames into the hive. When they have got wax in there, it makes it a little difficult. When they got wax in the frames, it makes it a little difficult to pull them out and put them back in. So that was the frame from the end of the hive. We're going to move into the next frame now, the one that's next to this frame. Get a thumb under there, come in on the other side, and lift the frame. So, if we have a look at this frame, they are filling it out. So this side, there is not much on the frame. You can see a bit of honey and wax that's formed from the other side. I'll turn this frame around. So as you can see, the bees are developing the honeycomb. On this second frame, it's actually formed quite nicely. They're building it on the back and on the front, and it looks like they definitely have deposited some honey in this frame, which is great. It means that there is food around. They've created space to walk around the frame, around the borders that they can get in and out of. So they are working super fast on filling up this frame. The empty side, the frame being built side. amazing. And some honey storage in the middle there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this frame back in the box now. The fact that there's even more bees on this side shows me that the hive is alive and working really, really well. So just want to be gentle with these ones because there's a bit more bees on this frame. Come on, bees. Come on, bees. And the bees fanning their wings and vibrating on these frames actually assists the frames in settling back in their place when you put it back in. So it makes it a lot easier to put these frames back into the hive. Now, I just want to see if we've got some smoke here still. Looks like we do. Because we're going to go more to the center of the hive, I just want to smoke them out a little bit more. Get some of that over there. You can hear them getting a bit distant. And they've actually formed a bit of a wax cap between this these two frames. So I'll just cut that out the way. Obviously, the benefit with having bees is beeswax. And it is perfectly edible to eat it off the comb, although I wouldn't eat too much. You'll give yourself the shits. Probably block yourself up as well for a couple of days. So we're going from the second frame in to the third frame in from the edge of the hive. And this is going to be an interesting frame because this frame is now where you guys are going to see the brood forming, you're going to see food storage, and you're going to see possibly the queen bee on this frame and quite a bit of honey on this frame. Oh, there's a bee down here. Come here, buddy. There you go. I like to look after my bees. I will, oh, no, straight back to the ground. I don't know if maybe he's stung something and maybe he's dying, but I am going to put him back. It looks like there's another bee helping him. Come on, let go of that. I don't need that. There we go. All right, he's back in the hive. So I respect my bees very much so. Let's pull this third frame. Oh, the most amazing part of pulling these frames is the absolute weight. The weight of these frames when you lift them out of the hive is incredible. Okay, let's start. All right, so there's one side of the frame. You can see those wax cappings in there. Those are brood. There's a couple of larger ones in there that I'm starting to think maybe possibly queens. I'm not too sure. So I just got to monitor that. But on the other side of this frame is something spectacular that is happening. That is all your honey storage. So we haven't even gotten into producing mass honey, but this side of the frame, which they're working on capping up, looks absolutely unreal. Those caps are quite large. I don't see the queen bee on this side of the frame. I don't see her on there. There's definitely brood. Do I see the queen on this side? I do not see the queen. That's okay. She's probably on the other side. These guys are probably hatching. I don't see any brood on there. That's okay. Let's put this frame back into the hive. She might be on the next frame. So, gently. We don't want to kill any bees here. We don't want to upset any bees. We just want to gently put this back into the hive. We want to use our thumbs to apply pressure either side. There we go. You might kill a few bees in the process. It's not the end of the world. Obviously try not to. I'm just going to add some more smoke here. Try not to drop anything in there. And now I'm going to take the fourth frame into the hive, right? The fourth frame is going to be filled with brood and probably filled with honey. And that's going to be one of the main frames that started this hive. So let's pull that out and let's see how it looks. And hopefully there's a queen there with a dot on her so that we can show you what the queen looks like. And I can expect that this frame is probably going to weigh a few kilograms. There we go. We've got the edge of it. Want to grip it with our gloves and start sliding it up out the box. Okay. Bees galore. Just shake some of those bees off of there. I don't want to drop this frame at all. This frame is loaded with brood on that side. I don't know what's happening on the other side. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, loaded with brood. Okay, so as you can see, that side of the frame is filled with eggs. That's brood. Those brood cells will hatch and create new worker bees, and those worker bees will start adding to the hive. And you can see the other side as well is loaded with brood frames. They've got a couple of honey stores there, which they'd be using. I can see a couple of bees on there with honey on them and pollen on their legs, which they're about to deposit. I'm looking underside of it. I'm looking for a queen. I'm looking for anything that looks like these bees struggling. Doesn't look like that. They actually look very healthy. I just want to see if I can find a queen. I don't know if these guys are protecting the queen, if they're making an egg cell. No, 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 no. I'm not seeing any egg cells. I'm not seeing the queen on this frame. So the queen is somewhere else in the hive, which isn't a bad thing. There's a larvae. Ah, awesome. I hope they don't turn that one into a queen or try to. All right, let's put this frame back. Don't like keeping them outside the box for too long. There's another frame in there that looks like it has catch or brood on it. Can't exactly see, but we're going to put this frame back in the hive nice and gently without killing any bees. I want to keep it as peaceful in the hive as possible because there we go. All right, so we put those bees in. There's not much smoke left there. All right, they're kind of getting angry with me because I did drop the hive a little bit there, which is, well, the frame a little bit, did drop the frame a little bit. So they're obviously, they're very antsy with how things are working. And I actually took a piece of comb out of one of these hives the other day because I was doing a bit of a test. I was doing a test to see just how long it would take these bees to kind of fill that corner back up. And they've already rebuilt the comb. I can already see it without needing to lift it up. They've already rebuilt a lot of the comb that was on there, which is amazing at how quick these bees actually do work and how quick they produce. But as soon as we've pulled up to 4 frames into the hive, we can pull a 5th frame, which brings us to basically the center of the hive. I don't see a point in doing it, but I'll do it anyway just to show you guys, because it's one of the ones that actually haven't been removed yet. It'd probably be good to have a look at it just to see how the production of brood, and we might even find a queen on this one, which I did want to have a look at to see what she looked like and obviously show you guys what she looks like. So we get the frame out of the hive. Okay, this one is loaded with brood. So you can see those are the queen's cells that she's laid brood inside of, and those brood will eventually form into worker bees. Now there's a couple of cells on the other side, which they'll be storing stuff in. I hope they're not queen cells. That doesn't look like it. They're quite small for a queen cell. And they've got some honey storage on there, which is amazing. Looks like she's been working busy on that side of the hive. I just still haven't seen the queen, which I do want to kind of find. But if we can't find her, we're not going to disturb them for too long. We don't want to disturb them for ages just to look for the queen. I'm seeing quite a few bees at the base of the hive there. Not many that are dead. No, they're all moving. And I'm going to gently slide this frame back into the hive so that I don't disturb any of these bees. Try not to get a reaction like we did before. But then again, these bees do get into places that they shouldn't. They are small, and you just got to be careful. Oh, there we go. So let's get my finger out of there. Drop that back down. All right, we did 5 frames into the hive. I think that was very good. I think the hive is developing at an incredible rate. Just from being here since the 23rd of January, we're almost just we're a month and a few days, so we're probably at about 33 days now. What started off as about 3,000 bees to a hive now that's probably aiming around the 20,000 bee mark just in a few weeks. So these are the frames, how they start off as. They're just little wood frames together. They're a certain size to fit most honey boxes. And they've got a couple of grooves in them to hold the wax sheet. Now, you don't have to put a wax sheet in, but it is recommended, especially if you want to help the bees start the hive off. because they don't have to develop that whole frame between these points to start building their cells to deposit their honey storage. So all in all, I hope this video has been really informative. What I'm going to do now is start putting the hive back together. I saw a couple of bees crawling around here on the floor and on me, but I think they're pretty calm now knowing that I'm done with them. Bees read energy off people and their environment very, very easily. So you definitely want to be respectful. You want to be mindful. You want to be calm and talk yourself through the process. Like, imagine there is a crowd behind you and they want to learn from it. If you're a great educator, a great teacher, if you're responsible, a hive requires patience, but it also requires knowledge. You have to know what you're working with. You have to know briefly, like there's an ants attacking some bees now that I'm looking at, and there's some bees flying around my head. And these bees are obviously not too happy. They're quite annoyed. You have to be very careful to not show stress or anxiety around these bees, because they will feel that and sense that, and they will become more agitated. That is just how bees in the hive operate. It's a colony. They think you're there to steal their honey. You're only there to make sure that they get to a point where they don't need to rehive, and all the excess honey that they start depositing in the super, which I will show you in a later video when I get that installed on the hive, will be something that you guys will understand a bit more the process of how these hives work. But all in all, beekeeping is very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to start off by placing this frame. This frame allows, again, just the worker bees to pass through. It doesn't allow the queen to pass through. We're going to be very gentle in placing that on top of the hive. We don't want to squish any bees doing that. We want to make sure it's nice and square so we don't have bees running out of other places. We're then going to take the queen frame. This one goes one way or the other, but we'll put it up this way. We're going to leave that on the top of that frame and just make sure it's all squared up. Once that's back on, we can then take our lid, which is just the lid, nothing fancy about it. It's just got some holes in it. It allows the hive to circulate air so that they can dry out that nectar they're putting in their cells. So that's not on straight. That looks like it's on a bit better. There we go. All right, guys, that's the hive. That is a hive inspection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking things off. I'm going to take these gloves off now. I'm going to unzip this bale because I feel confident enough now that the hive is closed up. The bees don't need to attack me, see me, or try and hurt me. Again, very simple process, but very important that it's done with care. Bees are a sensitive animal out there, and they do require time. Patience, I think, is one of the most important things with dealing with the hive. Initially, I was rushed after about 2.5 to 3 weeks. I was rushed and I thought that putting the super on would allow them more room to grow quickly. But it's not the case at all. Bees will grow at a pace that their environment allows them to. So, and I'm not talking about their physical environment inside the hive. I'm talking about the natural production of sugars around them in trees, sap production, water, and flowering. That is their main source of food, is flowering. So the whole process from start to finish has always intrigued me. It's intrigued a lot of people as well. And I feel like anybody that's intrigued in the development of, humanity, in the development of a colony, should definitely beekeep. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you to be patient. And it certainly teaches you the value of what these little guys do for us on a large scale. So stay tuned. If you guys have any questions at all, if you guys want to know anything, if you guys want to get in touch with me in Perth, if you guys want to see how a hive actually operates, send me a message. The comments will be open on this video. I will provide my socials in the links as well so that you guys can follow the journey. I do upload quite regularly to my Instagram story. So if you guys want to view it from my Instagram story, I got a little highlight there in a section where this all started. So if you guys are interested, again, I'd appreciate the support. If you guys want to know more, ask some questions. I learn more every time I open this hive up.
Every time I look at other beekeepers or want to learn something different, I learn so much. And I think maybe for another video, I can do like an environmental video around them to kind of show and the process of how I'm transforming this backyard a little bit, because I am going to be doing some garden construction over the next couple of months, which is going to be very exciting. So stay tuned. If you like it, leave a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.